meeting to order. Regular council meeting for Monday, May the 13th. That the May 13th, 29 regular meeting amended agenda be adopted with the addition of 5C and 5D. Moved. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Regular adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting held October 23rd, 2019 be adopted as presented. Any errors or omissions? All right. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Record of public consultation with the district vote record of a public hearing held April 23rd, 2019 be received. Moved to second. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. There's no delegations tonight. We move on to staff reports. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Fortolotsky, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, what you have before you is the report asking that you endorse the report and the accompanying, application form. It is about the Cascade Lower Canyon Community Forest dividend that was recently paid to each of the 3 shareholders. So in fact, to the District of Hope, you received $100,000. You as council decided to make this executable, so you included it in the budget for 2019. So I went ahead then and I designed the grant application form, the guidelines, and also applicants will be given a copy of the policy. I have put a return date of the 15th of June on the application form. I think that's enough time, I believe. But you'll notice on the application forms, they're nowhere near as structured as, say, the grant and aid policy. I believe, and I'm hoping you'll agree, that as these are periodic infusions of cash, so long as they meet the categories eligible in your policy, that it should be more of a freewheeling application to allow for original ideas and different things that aren't covered by grant and aid or permissive tax exemption. So I'm hoping you've read the application forms, and if you feel you need to add anything or you think something should be deleted, this is what we're here for. Again, I went through and I looked at several examples. I considered the policy. And I have an idea of which stakeholders in the community would really like to avail themselves of this program. And they include individuals as well as nonprofits. So it could be groups and individuals. And I think it would be very exciting actually when we get the returns back to consider what people want to see done with this.
Before I move on, Mr. Fortolotsky, I'd like to know, how is this going to be communicated to the public? Newspaper?
This will be newspaper, the social media, the website, be posted here, and I believe word of mouth will travel amongst the nonprofits, certainly in the district. It's a small place. In fact, I'm going to make some calls if and when you endorse this program to begin, because I have some community stakeholder groups that are kind of waiting for this. They know it's out there.
So is this going into this Thursday's paper?
If council endorses this as is, we'll get into today's Monday, we'll get into this Thursday's paper.
Otherwise, I think it's kind of a tight timeline for June 15th if you don't get this information out like right now. So
we can get it in for this Thursday. Mind you, if council wishes, we could make it June 30th at the end of the month.
Okay, well, I'll see what the council's wishes are. That council endorse the proposed application details in order to share recent revenue derived from the Cascade Lower Canyon Community Forest, and that council directs staff to proceed with the application deadline of June 15th. Moving second. Discussion?
Yeah. I'd like to see the June 30th, I think, give it a little bit more time for some people to prepare for it. As it comes out, they're going to have to get some of their research and stuff too as well, especially nonprofits. They only meet certain times, some of the nonprofits, so they'll have a meeting, so they might miss 2 weeks by this comes out. So if we can give them a couple more weeks, we get them into their meetings as well.
Any other comments?
I support that too.
Councilor Neville.
I have a question and then a question.
And a comment.
Yeah, just a comment, both questions, I suppose. So, in our policy, we've got the disbursement criteria table. So 25% to the Joint Legacy Fund, 25 youth and seniors. So, is an applicant limited to $25,000 as a maximum if they hit on one category, or is there a chance that they could hit on a couple categories and apply for a larger amount?
There's no limit. However, this category in the policy refers to you as a council, us as a district. Ideally, we're not going to disperse more than that in any particular eligible group. So this is pretty freewheeling again, because they may apply for 5,000, they may apply for 20,000. It really depends on the individual. And if we get one or two, as opposed to a few, we're not sure. It's fairly flexible.
Okay.
Sorry, you, Scott. Next.
The second question is there any, like in our grant aid policy, we require the applicants, the successful applicants, to report back at the end of the year. Is there anything that has the same sort of feel for that, for this? I didn't see it. But maybe I missed it.
In the application form,
Yeah.
there,
Projects worth more than $1,000 shall report back results effects to council via report template provided by the district.
Perfect.
and again, that's a flexible minimal feedback loop as opposed to grant and aid, which requires audited financials and all the rest.
Yeah,
of
I
that.
just think it's important to hear where the funds
Yeah.
did end up getting used. Yeah.
Councilor Smith and then Councilor Erickson.
So, when you said, I think you might answer my question, John, but like there's no, if they only apply for $5,000 for the youth and senior side of it, and that's $25,000 there, if they're the only ones that put in for the youth and seniors, do they automatically get that process, or do we still?
What we will do, like the grant and aid, we will compile all the applications, we'll vet them, and in fact, we'll give kind of a rating as to what we think
What
should be
has,
top
what
of
has
the
more
box,
merit?
and
Yeah.
then we'll push that over to you to make a difficult decision, Council.
Okay, thank you. That's fine.
Councilor Erickson.
Okay, yeah, through you. I see there's $100,000 in this group right now that's going to be spent. But I was looking at the budget, there's a lot more in that fund than 100,000. Are we gonna get another disbursement sometime in the year? Is this only disbursement's been?
We were only given the $100,000. The way the bookkeeping works is I think maybe it's combined, so it looks like it's more, but Dale and the audit will reflect that as just a $100,000 liability right now until it's spent.
Okay.
And we don't know when the community forest will issue another dividend to the shareholders.
Another question that came up, Mr. Forlowski, was if someone currently receives funds from the district, the grant and aid program, can they also apply for this?
Yes, and there are some questions that talk about that, if they're applying for matching grants, etc. Again, because it's a one-time infusion, maybe people with grants and aid have already got great ideas, but we know the grant and aid program doesn't provide enough money to really get certain things done.
Yeah, why limit them? See what you get in first.
So we have a motion on the floor, and with the change of the date to June 30th, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, staff, for that report. 5B, it's just the council approves the 2018 Statement of Financial Information. That is from our auditor. Moved. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now moving down to 5C, which is one of our addendums.
We got that in time to you.
You did. Would you like to speak to it, Mr. Fortowski?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Council should know we already have one BC Hydro fast charger station on the corner of 4th Avenue and Walls. They've come to us in order to build capacity in the district, and they would like to twin that with another fast charger, and there's a picture in the addendum as to what it looks like. We have reviewed from an engineering standpoint the requirement, and Kevin doesn't have a problem with that. And in fact, as mentioned in the report, right now we act as a third-party go-between for the hydro, and hydro would remove that from us completely, which is great. and they would just look after those all themselves. So that would be another benefit of it. So what I need to do is, I need to get a license to occupy sorted out so that that twin facility can be in place as opposed to just one. So that's what this report is looking for, is to negotiate and execute that license agreement. We're also reminded that we're looking at increased electrical vehicle, transit coming through Hope. So it is an economic development and a tourism initiative as well. So those people are going to stay in charge. Those people are going to use our downtown core services. And those people might look up at the mountains and go, you know what, maybe we should move here later. This is a nice place. So I'm hoping that you as council will allow me to negotiate and execute such an agreement.
Any questions, staff? Councilor Harrison?
So this license to occupy agreement, is that for the 2 parking lots? 2 parking stalls?
It will be for the 2. There's one now, and there'll be another one right beside it.
And then the part of the sidewalk? Is that?
That's correct. So there'll be that second, if you look at the photo, there'll be a second small charger, because you don't need the big transformer, you just leave them with the big one already, so it's a small footprint. Again, Kevin has reviewed from an engineering standpoint, says there's still enough walkway behind for walking, wheelchairs, mobility scooters, etc.
All right, any other questions? One? I'll give you one. Councilor Medlock.
Is there anything financial in it for us, as far as costs, like ripping up the sidewalk and doing the work, or do we see any revenue from it?
All those costs will be borne by BC Hydro. We won't see revenue in this case, because they're going to take care of all the costs of emplacement and discharge if they decide to leave or tear it down. And we're only using 2 spots downtown.
Okay, Councilor Harrison.
So through you, how long is this license to occupy agreement in effect?
I would have to look at it, but I believe it's a 5-year. Sometimes they want 10, but I will. I would press for 5. That's really the thing. And there's always, in these agreements, we can always terminate. We can give notice and say, you know what, we want to reassign this, so we'd like you to get out. In those cases, though, where it's us, we will then have to bear some of the costs of removing the infrastructure.
All right, we're satisfied? Okay, let's move on. And so the council directs staff to negotiate and execute a license of occupation agreement with BC Hydro in order to twin the current electric vehicle charging station at 4th Avenue and Wallace Street. Moved. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. The council, moving on to addendum D, 5D. Back to you, Mr. Fortolowski, please.
Right. You do not have a report in front of you. However, this came very late today, and late is better than never. We see in the audience the Executive Director of Variance, Ms. Shanna Jones. We also see, and I hope I'm saying her name right, Ms. Tina Pizer?
Pizar.
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 Pizar. Right. So Ms. Tina Pizar has been vetted by the board, the Advantage Hope Board, and I'll give you a bit of her history, but the Advantage Hope Board would like council to endorse her for an appointment to the board, as other appointments have been. You'll realize that they do vet and they do search out talent that they think is required by the board. Some information on Ms. Pizer is that she's currently employed with Spectra Energy, or Spectra Enbridge, since 2008. She's the maintenance planner and scheduler, a pretty important job. And she's also completed some very difficult, very important project management training. So the board felt her relative experience, education, and particular perspective will bring some value added to the board. And of course the board evaluates board nominees in formal ways, so they put in a resume, they answer questionnaires, there's a whole process. I understand the current process is changing, but it's still formal. So the actual forms you will get, and you don't have one tonight, may change from the ones you previously got. In any case, what I can say is that the due diligence has been given by the Board of Advantage Hope Board to bring this nominee forward to you for your endorsement. There are some vacancies on the board, and some good news is that by the next meeting, ideally, they will be 4 more nominees brought forward to the board, so they'll have quite a full slate of 4 nominees by then.
Good to hear, thank you. So the resolution would state that council endorse Tina Pfizer, I'm going to say it wrong for a few times, appointment to the eventual board, my apologies. And I strung that together, and I shouldn't have done that, but I did. Councilor Medlock,
I'll move.
thank you, Councilor Smith. All those in favor? All those carried. Welcome to the board. And I will learn to pronounce your name correctly next time. There's no committee reports tonight. You're going to have to be patient with me tonight with mayor and council reports. There's been a lot going on, and I'll be trying to keep it brief as possible. Here we go. Attended the Hope Active Response Table, the HART Committee. We had updates from the different subcommittees, and there was a good conversation and a need for crime prevention members and block watch captains. That group is aging out. They're looking for new members for crime prevention. So that was a big topic of the conversation around the table. I went to the Grand Spaghetti Dinner, lots of local support. It's a small group this year, but a really eager group. They put on some good entertainment along with the mums of some of the grads. It was very entertaining. I attended a roundtable consultation hosted by our MP, Mark Strahl, with the CAO and the Real Estate Board President, our MLA, Mayor Popoff of Chilliwack, some developers. And some of the key questions, just to give you an idea that is the type of housing available in our area correspond to the existing need? Do we have suitable housing for seniors, for families, for first-time buyers? How is affordability determined? How do we, as stakeholders, empower individuals to achieve sustainable housing and ensure that obstacles are eliminated? How can different levels of government work together with stakeholders and experts to respond to housing issues, to remove barriers to accessing housing and to achieve sustainability? Very good group brought together by the MP, and lots of good discussion. And the government is going to get lobbied on different levels for sure on some of the feedback that came back. The developers were concerned about the cost of building. The new building code adds about $50,000 per new home with the requirements for the building code. We talked about how the stress test they felt was not working for applying for mortgages, that the interest rates did not go up like they thought they were going to go as quickly as they did, and that maybe they should be looking again to the government for 35 and 40-year amortization for mortgages. I also learned that I was surprised with the banking officials that were there that most young people are not going to traditional banks for mortgages. They're going to family members, and they're going to mortgage brokers because they don't qualify. And it's tough. So those are some of the blocks that are blocking the different levels for people moving up the ladder to different homes and seniors trying to downsize. And they're not interested in building rentals. There's no money in it. They need some changes made at the provincial level. So there was a lot of conversation. I can't bring it all to you, but it was a very good discussion. I attended the Fraser Valley Regional Hospital Board, and the CEO of Fraser Health, Dr. Victoria Lee, was there. She did a good presentation on what her direction is for the coming year and what's being spent in our area, which is the hospital, the nursing station upgrade, which is just about finished, the kitchen area renovation. Fraser Hope Lodge is getting a new alarm system, a new nurse call station. Nothing major in our community this year. Excuse me. And she's expanding the primary care community. Sorry, they're expanding the primary care for mental health for our region. More money, more boots on the ground, if you will. And they've started right away. She's committed. She understands what our issues are, and mental health is a huge piece of the puzzle locally for us. And Fraser Health recognizes that. So actually I'm signing a letter tomorrow that joining with Fraser Health locally to set this in motion. So I'm pleased to report that Fraser Health is on board. I went to Regional District Board meeting, nothing new to report at this time at that board meeting. We did a webinar, Councillor Smith and staff, about creating and changing bylaws related to our parks and recreation. It covered everything from cannabis to drones, and how do you deal with drones in parks coming over your home, and everything in between. It's becoming a huge problem in some of the suburban areas. On a fun note, with staff and Councillors Smith and Erickson, we went to the groundbreaking for the Silver Creek Travel Center. It's well underway and they're very excited. I went to the Advantage Hope AGM. The Rural Dividend Fund requirements were completed. Many organizations in our community will benefit from the results. And something to note, I think, which is that there's been no increase in funding since they started 10 years ago. I'm still amazed at how they leverage their funding and find local partners and grants and leverage that money. The Hope and Area Healthy Communities Committee, I attended that, and two things that, it's early yet, but November 2nd is the health fair. There's conversation around that and how and where. And restorative justice is back in our community again. It had an absence, but it's available, and it's administered through, there's a gentleman that comes into hats. And so some of the business owners have been talking to me about that. When can we get it back? But it's here, it's in place, and the RCMP are involved as well, of course. I'd like to thank Councillor Smith and his committee for a wonderful Mile Zero unveiling. I know he'll talk about it, I hope, for the Old Hope Princeton 70th anniversary. It was good to see the good turnout. A couple more items, then I'll pass it on down the line. I attended the Regional Corporate Services Committee meeting. A resolution was passed to forward to UBCM for consideration at September's convention for the need for a provincial strategy to address rural homelessness and encampments on Crown land. All the communities recognize there's a problem there. We don't have jurisdiction. We can't do anything about it. The province needs to step up and put something in place. So we've endorsed it, we've moved it on to UBCM, and they will bring it forward as a resolution at the September convention. And the minister is aware. We talked about it again just a couple days ago. I won't report on any other social functions. There was too many, there was lots going on, but one more thing, and that is I did attend on your behalf with Councillor Stewin to the Lower Mainland Local Government Association conference at Harrison Hot Springs. We had an opportunity to meet with local utility providers for our community. We went with TELUS, Shaw, Fortis, Trans Mountain, the Canadian Petroleum Association. They were all there. We talked about regional planning for the future, climate action debate, and most communities are putting in place a climate crisis statement. We talked about energy and land uses for the future, and working government to government, and transportation challenges for the Fraser Valley, which includes us. They did endorse the BC Transit plan to move forward, and Transit's putting together the numbers now, and they will come to us in early spring with a request to see if it works for us financially. But they're prepared to add the extra routes during the day to accommodate people going to medical appointments and other issues outside of our community. And that's enough of me to report this week. Councillor Tron, please take over.
How many requests? I'll really be quite brief. I just have a couple things I'd like to say. Is just that just extend my extreme gratitude and say obviously Kevin's not here, but extreme thank you for the good job the District and Public Works have done in picking up the garbage the past week or so. I know it's not their general scope of work, but they've done a really good job, and spreading around town, as well as obviously staff with dealing with phone calls, as well as Communities in Bloom, sprucing up the side of the, I want to give a gratitude and thank you to them. It looks great on that side. You need a lot of help, and you guys do a really good job. Keep it up.
Councillor Stewin, please.
All right. So as you mentioned, I was at the Lower Mainland LGA with Mayor Rob, and it was eventful and at times a little awkward, but I'm really glad I attended. And I'm excited about their climate action discussions, and they were talking about using technology to address some of our climate concerns. And then I was reading through the information correspondence and see that SFU is opening a new campus for energy engineers, and using technology, and I thought, well, isn't that fantastic? So I'm really glad I attended. We did the backpack kits for kids, and we filled up some backpacks with some school supplies, and we'll have some coming to our area for some kids that are in need. Pleased to see all of the programs that TELUS has for their TELUS Friendly Future Fund. Check it out. They've got some great things for kids in care, connecting people with wireless internet that may not otherwise be able to, mobile devices. It was very, very good. Also attended, it's a CAC meeting with mental health, and it's people with lived experience talking about some of the challenges with mental health. It was a really good meeting as well. I'm curious, Mayor Rob, the funding you're talking about, Fraser Health, will that go to the mental health services, or will it go to like a not-for-profit to distribute the services? You were talking about Fraser Health getting some money for mental health.
It's going to mental health throughout our region.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But through not-for-profits or through the mental health?
Through the hospital, through the Fraser Health.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great, and hats off to those who organized and put forward that Mile Zero. I attended, and it was excellent. I was most impressed. And then I followed that by a tour of Park Street Manor with our MLA, who came to look at the facility and see the good work that's going on there. They've done some great upgrades and are putting a ton of work into place. So that's my report.
Thank you. Before I pass it to Councillor Smith, you reminded me that the TELUS, a good program that I thought was good for the aging out individual from 18 and
Yeah.
they're out. TELUS will provide them with a phone and for a year. For that first year, they're out of the system. To get them help starting to look for jobs or whatever they need for that first year. I thought that was a great idea. Councillor Smith.
So, actually fairly busy. So we have T-ball started for kids. We have over 20 kids playing now. They're playing Monday and Wednesday at the park. Big help there, thanks to the Rec Commission for helping us out there, and also Joey and Catherine from Joey works at Gardner as manager. So it's a great program. Lots of parents showing up. It's a really good deal. Did the BC Park webinar. Also attended the Bully and Harassment Day seminar. Thanks to Don Bellingham for putting that on. Tom Berry pit. We set it up and then we did a tour day on May the 8th. We had quite a few people come out. So Kelly Pierce, Stephanie Hooker, Natasha Cox, and the Fraser Water Coalition team and myself. We did 3 tours of the site, showing people, and of course kids really like when they see little fish in a tank. They really like that stuff. It's absolutely gorgeous down there. So it's moving ahead. That we have the water intake all in place. So they can only work a little bit in the fall. So the rest will be this fall and the next. I have a map, and what I'll do is I'll see Mr. Forlowski and get it forward to you, see what the proposal is, so everybody in council can take a look. Yeah, the Mile Zero event with Communities in Bloom and New Landers Construction was a great event. Although at the opening of the Highway 48, they had 6,000, we had less people than that there. The 6,000 in 1948, that's crazy. Anyway, Emil Anderson, so Mayor and quite a few council were there, and also Anderson's past employees, and also staff had people there too, so it's for us again, we appreciate attending. We also had historians there that loved the event because it's 70 years, it's kind of very cool. Guest speakers include Justice McWilliams from Emil Anderson, Mayor Peter Robb, MLA Jackie Taggart, and MP Mark Strahl. It said it's the 70th anniversary. We had a book that we gave out to people, which is the original book from 1948 in print. Very proud of that. There was also a social after at the Curling Club. Only desserts were served, so the sugar content was fairly high. We are starting work this week actually on the solar powering Mile Zero, so it'll light up in that. So that's the project we're working on right now. Also attended the Travel Center ground turning. I did walk with the dock on May 9th. Over 60 people attended, which is the largest they've ever had. Just showing the support for our doctors and our facilities in town, how lucky we are in the region to have what we do have today. 6th Avenue project, we got it done. Got it in right now, we have a few more plants to go, but it is an excellent project. Makes that whole corridor look nice. Mr. Forlowski and myself attended the Golden Age meeting, Jackie Taggart, There was over 40 people there. Excellent questions. Housing, downsizing, like is pretty standard, also now for looking at that. Available pricing, but also one thing is the people looking now, the price of fuel for traveling and going to doctor's appointment, that, you know, the extra cost in that since so that was one. Also, Councillor Medlock and myself are working on right now with our Community Future Hat for a security company in town here to come shortly here and with local people, which would be a really well needed thing. So we're very proud of that. And also the Chamber is working with the district here to try and get farmers market. We're looking at Friday, hopefully June, July, and August on 3rd Avenue here. So that's an excellent event for the Chamber to step up, and the district wants to support them moving forward to get people out downtown to be part of it. So that's it.
Thank you, good report. Councilor Medlock.
My turn? All right, I'll keep it pretty short. Advantage Hope AGM was the 26th of April. Yeah, and it was a really long AGM, only because there's just so much to report. There was a lot going on in the last year, and it's always good to go to the AGM and get that recap and sort of realize how much that organization does do for this community, and how many people it affects and it touches on people, you know, whether it's the signage or the outdoor activities or just talking to businesses with the business walk program or things like that. The organization is very busy, and that AGM proved it in the report. But yeah, it was a very well done AGM, and it was well attended as well. And then along with the Advantage Hope, we do have a meeting tomorrow, talk about communications. We know that that's something that's been lacking from Advantage Hope as far as broadcasting what's been going on within the community. So we're going to talk about how that's going to look, what it should look like, how we relay our information to the district, and yeah, moving forward. So it's a good thing. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Councilor Harrison, please.
Sure. So I attended the groundbreaking of the Husky Esso and had chats with the owner and the builder who was doing the guy who's doing the building, and it's a very exciting project for our district. They said, I remember when they were here discussing, they said up to 100 employees, but they're saying 60 now. 60 employees for that new center, and it's going to be the largest in Western BC, largest travel center in Western BC. That's what they're saying. And they were talking about when the Coquihalla shuts down, they don't think they're going to have enough space for parking, because usually they park from the way scales all along the highway. He said it'll be so busy there, but they're planning for, if Coquihalla shuts down, for huge influx of truckers. So they're actually very excited about it, and I am too. Also, I attended the Mile Zero Hope Princeton, and Councillor Smith, you did a very good job. I was very proud of what you did for the community. And we all got hats, and we all got that one original book, which is really nice to put together. And I read through it, and I was really impressed of the history that book contains. Yeah, it's really good. So today I was out rototilling my garden with my tractor, and it's really dry. So I'm just wondering, do we have any, I'm really worried about the nature trails, rotary nature trails, and all the debris that's in there. Are we doing anything about no smoking or any type of, are we putting up any signs? I mean, I'm really concerned that if we had a fire in there, it would be a disaster. There's so much content, wood content in there, fiber.
We are aware, and the fire chief and staff are monitoring the situation, and we're looking at priorities for cleanup. As far as the smoking debate goes, it's one of those enforcement issues. You can put no smoking signs in a national forest, but you're not going to get people to not smoke. So our advice right now is not to sign. For example, our peripheral trails is non-smoking, because we'll lack credibility, because everyone knows we're not enforcing it. As opposed to putting up signs that maybe say, let's be fire smart.
Yeah, that's,
and consider the burn problem.
yeah, that's
So we
what I
can
was
look at
thinking.
that,
Yeah.
and we can acquire some signs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, do it in, it's extremely dry, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that's good news, finally, I've been talking about this for a year and a half, Chamber of Commerce has finally decided, and I'm in charge of it, and John over here. We're going to be putting up signs at 170 and coming in off the whole Princeton.
Oh, nice.
Finally, we're gonna get it
All right,
done.
good.
And we just got the contract out now to the sign builder. And so I'm hoping in the next 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks to 3 weeks, we'll have some nice new signs up, directional signs and advertising signs for what's going on in Hope, especially on the whole Princeton and the 170 coming up. It's all bush, you can hardly see the sign now, but we're gonna clean all that, drop all the trees and
You're talking, sorry, Council, you're talking about symbols on there that show
little
hotel.
Tim Hortons,
Whoever-
whoever
oh, I
pays
see,
for the
okay.
sign, and McDonald's and whoever wants to pay for that. But we're finally doing, we've been trying to do it for a year and a half, I said, but today we just got the go-ahead, so we're doing it now.
Can I ask you a question on that? Where are the signs gonna go? Like, I know there's that one big billboard up,
Princeton?
at the Highway 35,
Yeah,
right, okay.
yeah. That's one that we cleared last
Yeah.
year, and we're still gonna clear it again.
And where's the other one?
Coming off 170, it's back in the bush, you can hardly see it. It's a huge sign.
By the Hell's Gate, so.
Yes, it's a
It says
little bit
welcome
more
to
west of the
there.
Hell's Gate sign.
Yeah.
Big sign back in there, it's all overgrown, but it's a nice
That
sign.
will-
Are they gonna be on brand and all that with the rest of the community branding?
I think they just, from what I understand, I'm not doing designs. There's gonna be advertising for like businesses in town, like Tim Hortons, McDonald's, coming in so that people know that the next exit is, and then we'll have Chamber of Commerce and Welcome to Hope, from what I understand. Coming in. You can't hardly see the sign right now because of massive big trees up in front of it.
Is it purchased, like they purchased that spot type thing?
That is the chamber sign.
Yeah, no, but like, so McDonald's, are they paying for that, like to purchase a spot on there for their advertisement?
Yeah.
And it'll obviously be their branding, that's on there.
I just need the look and feel of the whole sign, you know, the community's done a lot of work in branding and the signage to look similar so that you get the same feel as you drive through the community. I think it's great that the signage is happening, I just hope it's all consistent.
I'll talk to,
Yeah.
see what he says.
I can furnish the almost finalized draft of the sign guideline to the Chamber of Commerce.
Can you do
wish
that?
to use it.
Yeah.
They were originally one of the partners in the branding initiative that they pulled out,
Yeah,
but I can furnish that for you.
that would be nice. And-
Tomorrow, I'll get it to you on email.
Okay, thanks. Because I know they're gonna start working on it, the next couple of days. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Councilor Smith?
Yes, Councilor Mendock touched on it, April 26th AGM meeting, it was long, but, I do have to say, there's a lot of people in the community that are, I would say, not for Advantage Hope. I think that was an opportunity for these kind of people to come out and see how much this group does, and you don't see those people at those meetings. So for them to say, what's Advantage Hope doing for us? Maybe start doing your own homework by going and seeing these, going to these meetings and listening to actually what it gets done in a year. I'd like to say thank you to Stephanie Hooker too, I did say it there as well. The hard work she's put in for the Rural Dividend Fund, it was a 3-year project, and the amount that they accomplished was absolutely amazing. It's good. I have to say thank you to Shannon Jones too, she's putting together some pretty good team here by the looks of things too, so I'm excited for our meeting tomorrow night. And another thing, that we have water restrictions in place, I believe we're on stage 2, so
I'd have to confirm that.
I think we are in water restrictions, I've seen it on our social media, so let's keep out a lookout for that. And then, yeah, fire watches needs to be happening too, it's starting to get dry out there. I have a funny suspicion that there's gonna be some fire events happening sooner than later. And just being fire smart, I don't know how we can, you see communities are already getting evacuated now up in Burns Lake area and stuff again already, and it's just like, it's frustrating to see that people aren't thinking about it, especially the people that smoking on the highways, like they're throwing out cigarettes and there's nothing you can do about it, and they don't care once they're already gone and our community's burning up, so it's a tough thing to, anybody that sees them, report them. I think that's the best way to do. Probably not gonna might not even get a slap on the wrist, but keep your eye out for it. And other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Thank you, Councilor Smith. Back to you, sir.
I just want to mention one more thing. On the Mile Zero project, we were stalled for quite a while then because of engineering on the thing. And Dr. Erickson there, Councilor Erickson, his son-in-law actually did the project for us for the engineering and donated his time for it. make it happen. We're very thankful that we're actually putting a gift package together for him to take and give to him, because that was excellent for us. So I want to thank him.
So just comment on that, I think by doing that, there'll be more freebies if you need it. I told him about that, he's up there and he's getting a hat and a book. He said, oh really, he's pretty happy about that.
All right, thank you, council. Everyone's been very busy. Moving into permits and bylaws, I'll turn it over to Mr. Fortolotsky, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the first report deals with 755 Old Hope Princeton Way, regarding development variance permits for multifamily. I'd like to ask my colleague, Mr. Gill, to speak to the issue.
Your worship, through you, on April 8, 2019, a report was presented for a development permit and development variance permit. The development permit was approved. The development variance permit was for a couple items identified for height of the individual components of the development, the height for the townhouse, the apartment, and then also to relax the minimum number of off-street parking from 1.3 to 1.2, and then also the small car parking, and then the amenity area. To bring up to speed, council, the architect has contacted me last week and they said they now met the parking standards of the bylaw. However, we will still go through the motion of doing this, just in case that there's a civil in-stream sort of works issue that may occur, like let's say for drainage, where they have to now reduce parking again. So we will hold that parking number that's sort of been identified in the motion, and so the motion should be read through.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gill. So the recommendation from staff is that council approve the issuance of the development variance permit to vary the multi-family residential RM1 maximum building height provision for townhouses from 10 meters to 11 meters, vary the multiple family residential RM1 maximum building height provision for apartments from 12 meters to 15 meters, relax the minimum number of off-street parking spaces for apartments from 1.3 per dwelling to 1.2 per dwelling, vary the small car parking provision from a maximum of 15% of the number of required off-street parking spaces to 20.5%, and vary the multi-family residential RM1 condition of use for a common amenity area from 100 square meters to 79.5 square meters in order to construct a multi-family affordable housing complex on the property at 755 Old Hope Princeton Way, and further that the Director of Community Development be authorized to endorse the development variance permit, and further that for the purposes of Section 504 of the Local Government Act, substantially start shall mean the completion of an approved foundation for any of the proposed structures as certified safe by a qualified professional. Move. Second. You second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Your second report, please.
Mr. Mayor, this second report deals with the summer camp at Cockwa Lake and their initiative to build a gymnasium on their property. Again, I'd like to ask my colleague, Mr. Gill, to speak to the issue.
Your worship, through you, the applicant would like to construct a 7,645 square foot multi-purpose gymnasium for as part of their camp amenities. The property is split zoned. The location of this building would be in the residential and recreational use area, which would permit the use of this gymnasium. We'd like to apologize to the mayor. Lately, we've been bringing some long legal descriptions forward, so bear with us.
It's necessary. I totally understand. So staff's recommendation is that a geotechnical hazard development permit and a flood and erosion hazard development permit be approved for the property at 66706 Cockwa Lake Road for the construction of a gymnasium subject to the District of Hope receiving a satisfactory certified report from a qualified professional confirming a site-specific safe building envelope for the property, and further that the Director of Community Development be authorized to endorse the development permits and the required covenant document, and further that for purposes of the development permit validity period, the conditions of the development permit shall expire on May 31st, 2021. and further that for purposes of section 504 of the Local Government Act, substantially start any construction shall mean the placement of a foundation for the gymnasium as certified safe by qualified professional. Move, second, any discussion, questions? Councilor Mendel.
Just one question I have is just about fire protection in the area. So it's a fairly large wooden structure. You know, we've taken a look at our water master planning and know that East Cockle Lake doesn't have the best hydrant sources, but do you know offhand if this type of building is like sprinklered and all of that, just as per code, or is it?
Your worship, through you, I believe the architect has designed it based on the current BC building code. However, I haven't seen the intricate drawings of that, this gymnasium to sort of make a determination if it does or if it doesn't. However, it will need to meet the current code. It could be, basically needs to take into consideration either absence of hydrants or, let's say, the absence
So
of.
they take in the water situation at the time?
Correct.
That's good to know.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Excuse me, correspondence. That'd be for information correspondence list dated May 13, 2019, we received. Moved. Thank you. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. That the accounts payable check listing for April 2019 be received. Moved. Second. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. This time, there's no other pertinent business. We'll move to question period. I call for questions from the public for items relevant to the agenda. Is there anyone that'd like to speak to Ms. Jones?
I just wanted to just verify with Councilor Erickson, the billboard that you're speaking of, is that the one that says "Welcome to Hope" coming in with the Advantage Hope and Chamber logos on it? The green one?
No, I don't, is it way back in?
There is.
Yeah, right
Along with
on
Chamber.
Highway 1, yeah,
Yeah, is it green color?
yeah,
Yeah,
with like a bear and trees.
It could be
That's the
that,
one.
that could be the one, yeah,
Okay, I just wanted to verify. Thank you.
it's way back.
Yes,
It's all in front of trees right now.
Yeah, I think that one was like a joint project
between the two
early
organizations.
on when Tyler was still here.
Yeah, a long time ago.
But the sign is not bad, it's just, yeah. Hidden.
Any other questions?
No, that was, I just wanted to verify.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you. Next meeting is Monday, May the 27th, right here in the District Hall, the chambers here. Resolution to proceed to closed meeting. Moved. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.